restraining a passenger on board, detaining the passenger once the flight lands, filing an FIR or a report directly to the DGCA, taking punitive actions in terms of banning a particular passenger or putting them on a no-fly list for whatever amount of time the DGCA and the airlines deems fit. These are some of the measures, punitive measures, that are taken when a passenger on board a flight ready to take off or in mid-air is deemed disruptive or unruly. But this is not what happened with a high-profile flyer on board an Indigo airline on the 10th of December 2022. This is State of Play and I am Anusha Ravi Sood. Welcome to South First. DGCA's own rules mandate all scheduled and non-scheduled airlines to compulsorily report every single incident or accident on board, whether it is during boarding, whether it is during takeoff, mid-air, or during landing. The DGCA very specifically asks every single airline to report to it immediately via telephone or within 12 hours of a particular disruptive incident on board. But what happened on the 10th of December 2022 on board an Indigo airline flight flying from Chennai to Tiruchi went unnoticed, unspoken about, without a report ever being filed for more than a month and 10 days. There is reason for this. This person identified as someone who disrupted the flight schedule, because of whose actions the flight was delayed by 142 minutes, as accounted for or as claimed by eyewitnesses, was not a common person. It was not a regular citizen, an elected representative, an MP, a first-time MP of the ruling party, Bharatiya Janata Party. MP from South Bengaluru, Tejasvi Surya, who also happens to be the president of Bharatiya Janata Party's youth wing, the Yuva Morcha, is said to be the passenger on board this flight who accidentally unlocked the emergency exit door. Like I said, this instance of disruption took place on the 10th of December 2022. However, by the time the DGCA officially acknowledged that such a safety violation took place on board this particular flight, forget DGCA, by the time Indigo as a private airline even came out with an official statement acknowledging that a passenger had opened the emergency exit door on board its aircraft, it was already the 17th of January 2023. More than 40 days had lapsed between when the incident took place and when these two authorities officially acknowledged that such a thing happened. The DGCA also insisted that it was ordering a probe into the matter. A probe for an incident that took place on the 10th of December was ordered on the 17th of January. And this statement by the DGCA and Indigo came almost more than 24 hours after South First had inquired with both these outfits, both these organizations, one a regulatory body like the DGCA and a private airlines like Indigo, to provide details about what had transpired on that flight on the 10th of December 2022. Both DGCA and Indigo Airlines said that a passenger had accidentally opened the emergency exit and all SOPs had been followed. What both of these authorities did not reveal is the name of this passenger, and that name is exactly what an eyewitness who was on that flight, who saw what transpired, told South First. As common citizens, whether it is you or me, if we were to accidentally or deliberately, by mistake, inadvertently, as a prank or deliberate malice or without deliberate malice, unknowingly end up unlocking and opening the emergency exit door of an aircraft, it still is a violation of air safety norms. The eyewitness in this particular case told South First that it was BJP leaders, Tamil Nadu State BJP Unit Chief Annamalai and BJP MP from Bengaluru South and the party's Yuva Morcha President Tejasvi Surya, who boarded the flight almost towards the end when all the passengers had already taken their seats. These two VIPs took the emergency exit row seats. They heard the entire special briefing that is given to passengers seated on the emergency exit row by the aircraft's crew. The eyewitness or co-passenger on this particular flight saw what transpired. Moments after, Annamalai and Tejasvi Surya were given special briefing meant for passengers seated on the emergency exit row. The BJP MP, the first time BJP MP, also the president of the BJP Yuva Morcha, put his arm on the emergency exit lever and pulled it down, in effect opening this emergency exit door. Within seconds, the crew arrived at the scene. They did a thorough check of what had happened. By then, the crew understood that passengers had to be evacuated, deplaned from this aircraft. Boarding process was already complete at this point in time. The flight was all ready to go towards the runway for takeoff. However, passengers were asked to disembark and they were seated in a transit buses for almost 2 hours, according to this particular passenger. While the MP apologized profusely to the passengers, insisting that it was by accident, that it was an accident that led to him unlocking the emergency exit door. The crew had to insist on following SOPs and demanded that the MP write an apology, which he did. The eyewitness told South First that it was in the bus when the passengers were made to wait for a couple of hours as technical teams, as security personnel did a thorough check of the aircraft before an okay was given for passengers to go back to the aircraft. It was in this bus that Tejasvi Surya wrote this apology letter. Until that time, until the time of seeking an official written apology from the passenger who is said to have opened the emergency exit door, the airlines had followed SOPs to the T. However, what happened later is a cause of concern. In any other case, like it has been in the past, the passenger was not held accountable. Instead, the passenger was let off with just an apology. It isn't the question of this one particular MP. It is the question of how those in powerful positions can easily get away in India with no accountability whatsoever. Worse, they can in fact insist that they will not even comment on such an incident. They will not own up to such an incident until and unless there is somebody else stating that something like this had taken place. This is exactly what Tejasvi Surya told South First when we reached out to him. When we told him that we have an eyewitness account, insisting, identifying him as the person who opened the emergency exit door, who unlocked the emergency exit door, his response was simple. I will only respond if the DGCA or Indigo Airlines issue an official statement, because at that point in time, the MP was very confident that these official statements may not come at all. Thanks to media pressure, after South First reported on it and multiple media outlets followed up on this particular incident, DGCA as well as Indigo Airlines were compelled to issue official statements acknowledging that such a breach of security norms had taken place on board this particular flight. First, perhaps, came the attempt to cover up this entire incident, hoping that nobody will notice, speak about, or report on such an incident. How else do you explain the delay in official authorities responding or even acknowledging that such a serious violation of air safety norm had taken place on board this aircraft? The incident took place on the 10th of December 2022, and it is not until the 17th of January 2023 when Southwest continuously followed up with DGCA and Indigo Airlines that an official acknowledgement of this incident comes about. So perhaps the attempt was first to cover up this entire incident, and now that the incident is out and it is in the public domain and everybody is raising questions about this particular incident, now comes the attempt to whitewash over this. While one mainstream news channel caught hold of another passenger on board this particular flight and repeatedly asked them, it was not Tejasvi Surya who opened the emergency exit, was it? Even as that eyewitness continued to say that he does not know who Tejasvi Surya is. To another news outlet that spoke about how, quoting sources from the BJP, spoke about how it was an accident since the MP was slightly resting his arm on the emergency exit. Irrespective of severity of this incident, the fact of the matter is simple. this is a violation of air safety norms, and action should have followed automatically from Indigo as well as the DGCA's end. In fact, DGCA insists that every scheduled and non-scheduled airline has to mandatorily inform DGCA, file an incident report of every single accident or incident that takes place on board an aircraft. In fact, the DGCA even has a set form in which details of the airline operator, the time, the schedule of the aircraft, the name of the passenger, seat number, details, etc., along with the description of the disruptive behavior, delays, if any, and the action that was taken has to be submitted to the DGCA, either immediately over telephonic conversation or within 12 hours. Within 12 hours is the time limit for an airline to dock a particular incident and submit a report to the DGCA. And here is an instance where neither the airline nor the DGCA came out with an official statement for more than 40 days. Now comes the question. Had this not been a ruling party MP, had this not been a person of great influence, power, and position, would authorities show the same leniency? If reports of this MP slightly placing his hand on the emergency exit chute, causing it to open, are to be taken at face value, should we not be concerned about the quality of these aircrafts? Above all this is the question to ask if rules are the same for every citizen of this country, or are they different for those in positions of power? Would the DGCA or Indigo Airlines not have initiated action had this not been an MP of the ruling party and just another common citizen? Why this delay in action? While aviation experts insist that opening up of the emergency exit door or unlocking it, however accidentally or inadvertently it may be, is still a violation of air safety norms, the DGCA has only now said that a probe has been ordered into the incident. We at South First will keep a track of how this story develops and will keep bringing you the latest updates. But before we sign off, a word of appreciation to this passenger who finally spoke up. If not for this eyewitness coming forward to explain or describe what exactly happened on this particular aircraft, this would have been yet another instance where a VIP got away doing everything wrong and facing no consequences at all. Thank you so much for watching. This is State of Play with me, Anusha Ravi Sood.